This is Akashmani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on key takeaways from the President's address at the budget session of Parliament. The participants are Shekhar, Iyer, political analyst, and Sonu Sud, anchor.
The budget session of Parliament, which is the last before the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, began today with an address by President Draupadi Murmu to a joint sitting of both houses of Parliament. Mr. Iyer, we'd like to know from you this address of the President, which was the first address in the newly built Parliament building. How do you see it, or what do you feel was the key highlight of this address?
This was a very, very significant address by our President, Draupadi ji. And it was, in fact, a complete account of what has happened in the last one decade and what has happened in the last 1 year, the kind of initiatives that have been taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's government. And what is the future ahead? How does it look from here? Because particularly this Amrit Kal, the run-up to when we will be celebrating 100 years of our independence in 2047. What will be the state of the nation? In fact, I would say that it is a beautiful account put in very, very simple terms, in very tangible terms as to what are our achievements, what were our challenges, what are the challenges ahead. In fact, it's a complete account and an audit of all that has been faced by this government, by this country, and how we have overcome these challenges.
Absolutely. We'll be talking more about that. First, I would like to know from you the immediate concern, which is that there should be a smooth functioning of the 2-week-long budget session, and the hope that was expressed by the President that there would be productive debate on policies between government and opposition parties. You feel that we can hope for that?
Well, that is always the intentions of the government and intentions of everybody to see that, we do make endeavor for a good debate, because democracy is by discussion and debate. And that's what government expects all the sides to come forward with ideas that go into the making of this nation, how we move forward, how do we tackle our challenges, what kind of solutions we have to do. That is why the President began her address with some kind of resolve that we respect our democratic and parliamentary traditions, and let us see that we have productive dialogue on policies, because these policies are going to shape how this country is going to progress, because the goal before the country is Viksit Bharat. And as the President today pointed out in address, that the whole core philosophy or the core guiding principles for this Viksit Bharat program is that this country has 4 pillars of strength, which is the youth power, the women power, and the collective efforts of our farmers and concern for the poor. These are the 4 pillar or aspects of a government policies. And that is how the President put it. And she was also very particular to point out what this government has done, actually, because everybody would like to know that, first of all, how did we even celebrate this 75 years? So where she mentioned how Amrit Kalash containing, soil from every village was brought to Delhi under this Meri Mati, Meri Desh campaign, and 2 lakh plaques were installed, and how people took oaths on that Panch Prana or 5 pledges, and how all over the country water bodies have been revived. It's a very significant thing after the call given by Prime Minister Modi. That is what they are called as Amrit Sarovars. 70,000 Amrit Sarovars have been built, and many more are underway. These are all effort by our youths of different villages. And the whole idea is we should have more and more water bodies to be revived or created or renewed. And particularly after the Prime Minister's call to feel pride and take selfies, President noted more than 16 crore people have uploaded their selfies. And similarly, a lot of other things have happened. And in fact, the past year has seen a lot of historic achievements, as the President pointed out. And the biggest thing which is the most heartening thing for all of us, as President noted, was amidst the series of global crises that we see everywhere, whether it is the Russian-Ukraine conflict or the developments in West Asia, we are emerging as a fast-growing economy. Rather, fastest-growing economy. We are maintaining a consistent growth rate of over 7.2%. Over the 2 consecutive quarters. This is a very good news, because there have been several doomsday prophets who have said, very difficult situation, India will be affected, Indian economy is moving at a very, very slow pace. But what we are seeing is things have started picking up. We are recovered from the post-corona period, and more things are happening on the economy side. Today, there is confidence and hope. The confidence is in our ability to overcome these economic challenges, and the hope is that we are headed towards a bright future, as the President pointed out.
In fact, she said that the Indian economy used to be among the fragile five, but as you said, it is now moving in the right direction and at the right pace due to several reforms which have been undertaken by the government in the last 10 years. What would you say are these key reforms?
Well, these reforms are related to the right from bankruptcy code to one nation, one tax, that is GST. Then the whole digitalization that has happened. And also the president particularly noted this long pending aspiration of the people of India that a Bhavya Ram Mandir should come up at Ayodhya. And that is the reality today. And similarly, there were also doubts over issues like Article 370. These were all pending promises, actually, that one day this will be resolved. And today, what we see, Article 370 is gone from Jammu and Kashmir. Similarly, triple talaq, a legislation was brought, it was outlawed. And definitely, this has had a very salutary impact because this removal of triple talaq has acted as a deterrent. Now, people hesitate to go for this kind of practices. That's one big achievement. Similarly, the Citizenship Amendment Act, which was to fast track grant of citizenship to these persecuted minorities from neighboring countries. It's like that, so many things have happened. So that is why the president recalled that today we have been hearing for a long time the slogans of Garibi Hatao. But we are witnessing now eradication of poverty on a massive scale.
So would you say that there is a common thread running through all these achievements, that the current government is actually turning intent into action? There have been intents earlier also on part of the other governments, but actually on the ground achieving dreams is something that we have seen in the present government?
Yes, previous governments have also worked on these areas. But first time what you are seeing is a very concerted way. Things are being looked at, decisions are taken, they are followed up. There is a greater coordination between center and state governments, with Prime Minister himself monitoring implementation of various projects. That is why today the Niti Aayog says that in the last one decade, about 25 crore people have been lifted out of poverty. That is what is called the multidimensional poverty. So this is giving some confidence to our poor people that these programs that are happening, the funds that are earmarked for them are actually coming to them. Take for instance PM Awas Yojana. 4 crore homes, flats have been built for the poor people. Similarly, Jal Jeevan Mission, supply of piped water. Similarly, Ujjwala Yojana. Whether it is gas or whether it is providing electricity, a lot of things are happening. And also, this is not just one aspect. Every sector is seeing improvement. This is very unique. It is not just unidimensional that only one particular area is being attended to. In fact, several areas, for instance, President noted that our exports have increased. Now it is more than $775 billion. This has happened in the exports have gone up. FDI flows have doubled. And take for instance Khadi, which has been promoted by Prime Minister through his various Mann Ki Baat. Data sale of products have gone up by 4 times. And very importantly, the filing of income tax return. The income tax returns, they have gone up from 3.25 crores to about 8.25 crores. It is more than doubled. When people are filing income tax, there are two things. One, incomes are going up, so they come within the tax net. Though a lot of relief, up to 7 lakhs, you don't pay income tax. But at the same time, if more and more people are coming into the income tax net, that means that there is growing incomes. And more people are coming out of those from the bottom line to they are climbing on the economic scale. And also there is compliance. That is also very important, that there is less tax avoidance or tax evasion. Rather more the idea is that people are complying with the laws. That is what GST has done. Previously, what we call the Inspector Raj, the sales tax Inspector Raj, that has been done away with. So there have been several things happening. You have startups have come up and the number of new companies, the registration of new companies have gone up now. And also in terms of vehicles sold and particularly our concern for pollution. In fact, the president's speech, it was very point by point. Instead of some kind of expressing some broad ideas, rather this was a pinpointed address.
Mr. Iyer, she talked about Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat becoming our strengths. Now, these were the programs which were launched when the country was going through a crisis. So you feel the government turned this crisis into an opportunity. She lauded defense production crossing rupees 1 lakh crore mark and India becoming the second largest exporter of mobile phones in the world.
Yes, even mobile phone, that's a 5-fold increase. And the fact that you are able to count achievements, that itself shows that this government has been working on specific targets, not on generics. Because you are able to say, yes, this is what has happened. The capital expenditure has increased 5 times. Today, it is 10 lakh crore is being spent on creating infrastructure. And government itself is spending money on infrastructure means it is giving a big boost to the economic growth. Similarly, fiscal deficits. And all this is happening, keeping the fiscal deficit under control. And today, our foreign exchange reserves are estimated at over 600 billion US dollars. Now, all this is possible only under a leadership that is steady, that has a foresight, that doesn't resort to shortcuts, that believes that whatever needs to be done to make this country strong economically, infrastructure wise, as well as plan the future way forward. That is why the Prime Minister's address today listed several things that have been done. And all those areas that President today listed, the areas which the Prime Minister wanted to be given importance.
In fact, she congratulated Prime Minister Modi for the Women's Reservation Bill, and she also talked about the accomplishments in the past 1 year, about Chandrayaan 3 landing, successful G20 summit, country winning more than 100 medals in the Asian Games, and Atal Tunnel becoming a reality. You feel that it was a very, very comprehensive, you can say, as you said in the beginning, audit of what the country has achieved, not only in the last 1 year, but also the last 10 years?
Definitely. All these 10 years have not been in vain. Prime Minister single-handedly has taken some very, very hard decisions. And when those decisions were taken, he was subjected to criticism. He was subjected to all kinds of uncharitable remarks. But he kept plodding. His colleagues, the government, the system to do their best. That is why you are seeing so many things. See, particularly, take for instance, ease of doing business. This is one area where the trade and commerce involving the livelihood of so many people. And so what has happened is needless compliances were done away with. In fact, some 40,000 compliances have been done away with. And similarly, laws have been similarly amended to see that criminal provisions are done away with. And that's why the Jan Vishwas Act, which the Prime Minister is one of the key thrust areas for legal reform, that has seen being at least 183 provisions be decriminalized. So many things have happened. Even take, for instance, forest environment clearances. So whenever anybody has wanted to set up honest business, the government agencies have been forthcoming to provide a helping hand. Or take, for instance, MSCB sector. MSCB sector was a sector that was very much affected by corona. So a special package was devised for them. And today you can see that the definition of MSCB has been expanded. So the turnovers, have been added. Presently, you see there are 3.5 crore MSMEs registered in the government portal. Now, credit guarantee schemes have been announced for MSMEs, where guarantees of nearly 5 lakh crore have been sanctioned for these MSMEs the last few years. And this is 6 times the amount that was available in the decade preceding 2014. So you can see that every sector, things have changed. And particularly, the president noted the most significant reform has been in the creation of digital media, particularly, because this has made things easier. Recently, when the French president Macron was here, he could see for himself how the digital India is operating. Even the G20 summit, the world leaders had noted India's example, ushering in digitalization. And it was actually recorded in the G20 declaration also that digitization as done by India is a good example for others to follow. That previously when the digitization came, there were a lot of criticism. How many people have cell phones, how it will work in the villages. But today, everywhere, whether it is towns, semi-urban areas, semi-rural areas, everywhere, you can see people are, to extent possible, they are dealing with everything digital transaction. Yes, petty cash is still involved, but that's for petty business. It is not for bigger thing. So one can see that in one particular month, as the president noted, some 1,200 crore transactions were done through using the UPI system. And this amounted to something like 18 lakh crore. I mean, look at these figures, which the president today mentioned in her address. And biggest thing is, the Jan Dhan scheme that was brought in, particularly Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, it has curbed corruption. Because beneficiaries are directly getting payment into their bank account. That is a single most transformational thing that has happened to tackle poverty.
Mr. Iyer, thank you so much for giving us a deeper insight into the finer points of President's address outlining the rapid and inclusive development of our country.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on key takeaways from the President's address at the budget session of Parliament. The participants were Shekhar, Iyer, political analyst, and Sonu Sud, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928 909 4044.